So today we're going to take a look at the final team that qualified for the NA Challengers League. And here are, if you're wondering, the 12 teams that are going to compete, I think in 2 groups of 6 for the spot in the Ascension League. And, see if they can then beat the rest of, the Brazil and LATAM teams to potentially qualify for the top Americas League in Tier 1. And I just think that Tier 2 NA Valorant is going to be a great watch. It's going to be a really, really fun time. Because, all of these teams have really great stories. They all have really great players. And so to me, Tier 2 NA Valorant is just set up to be an absolute blast to watch. Following the storylines will be really cool. And, for a lot of esports, that often doesn't happen in the Tier 2 scene, but the way that this is set up for NA, I think that this will be an absolute joy to watch. And so let's take a look at the final team to qualify, which was Esports in their game against Sonics. And I really do feel for Sonics, this was such a close series overall. Esports won the first map 13-10. Sonics came back, won the second map 13-11. And then we came down to bind, and Sonics had 3 match points, but would lose in overtime. Which is absolutely crushing for this last spot. But let's take a look at how it happened, and we'll start here with the pistol round. And for those of you who are wondering, God, he does this every day, or pretty much every day. Does he not get sick of it? Does he not get bored of it? And honestly, the answer is no, not at least right now. And one of the reasons for that is there's still a bunch of unknowns, I think, in this game. There is still a bunch of questions, and one of them is, what is the best pistol round buy? What should you do on a pistol round, right? Should you just play it like in a balanced way and just have whatever the best buy for that agent is, you just go with it? Should you go for a heavy util buy? Should you go for a, less util, more guns buy with like sheriffs and whatnot? Should you go for a raid boss? Should you save like older crew used to and whatnot? Well, here we have 2 of those different strategies, right? Because Jonah and Zeldris here for Esports, yeah, they're going to go for a ghost, and they're going to, buy a trailblazer and buy a boombot. It makes sense. They're on the defensive side. That's kind of like just the standard buys, I would think, for those agents on this kind of round. But then you've got stuff like double Viper Mollies, right? This isn't so standard. Normally you would go 1 Viper Molly, 1 Orb, and you'd go for the light shields. You've got full util on the Brim here, and you've got full util on the Sage as well. Obviously just classic, no shields or anything like that. And then on the side of Sonics, we've gone for, kind of a similar thing where we've gone for kind of the normal buys, or, fairly normal buys for the agents we've got. But then our Brim is foregoing any gun or shields or anything like that and giving a Frenzy to Pura here. He's got Frenzy and Light Shields and a Boombot. He's going to be a raid boss in this round. And, I just think it's super interesting to see the different strategies that come out and how, teams think about it and whatnot and what they think is best, right? So we've got who have gone for a heavy, util buy essentially, and then you've got Sonics who've gone for a heavy raid boss buy, trying to get Pura. Essentially, he's just going to go in and try and get as many kills as he can. He's got Frenzy and Light Shields and utility, which is very good. So as the round plays out, as you can see, I mean, it is bind, so we're gonna, we aren't going too fast here. Nothing's gonna happen in the first 10 seconds pretty often. We are going to get a lot of rounds like this one. But what's going to happen is we've got the common Viper set up here. We've actually got a Sage wall in here towards Shower. So they just got the 2 players here. Drone starts to come in through Hookah, and in comes Sonics, right? Get a really nice Brim Molly just there that actually manages to get a kill. Zeldris, then you see Esports use their utility to good use, that extra util that they had gotten. But we are going to manage to get the spike down. Here we end up in a 3v4, and you're going to see the strategy of Sonics pay off a bit as well, because Pura is about to go pretty big here in a second as well, as he's going to manage to find quite a few kills. There's 1, there's 2, and in this situation, very, very close. And he actually survives the first shot because of his light shields, but Jonah manages to win the round, and Esports would take the first pistol round. But now let's skip way ahead to when it was really crunch time. 12-10 to Sonics. Esports have won 1 round here where Sonics could have ended the game, but they're going to win the second one just here as well in this round. And what we're going to see in this round, actually, it's interesting to me that Esports, Sonics actually changed. I recently did a video about them against the Nation and how they were playing the Sage comp, but actually this is swapped now where they've changed comp, but Esports have gone with that Sage comp. Instead playing it against Sonics here. But you see that the early Soverall managed to actually get a kill, and at this point you're thinking it's a settled 4v5. You know, there's no trade available there or anything like that. And, you know, we're just in a 4v5, and this is not going to be a good situation here for Esports, right? They are going to, as you see, come down towards this A site here. And as I said in the video previously, this is a very, very common thing for this kind of Sage comp to do. Put up the Viper setup just there. You get a Sage. They're actually going to Sage wall off this instead of this, but you know, it's the same kind of idea, right? We're going to use a Sage wall here that's going to make it much harder to retake. We've got Sage slows and whatnot to slow you down here, and then we've got, you know, Viper mollies, we've got Raise Nade, we've got you know, Brim molly as well, right? And this spike, the time, you do not have as much time as you thought you did, right? And so that's exactly what's going to happen here, as you'll see. So in they start to come, right? The spike is going to go down here by Leah. He's going to put it down just there. The Seekers do come out, and you're thinking, oh, this is a bad situation. You know, we get a Raise Nade in there as well. Leah's just like jumping around for his life. These smokes eventually will fade, but you're going to see how they play this post plant, right? It's just going to be super, super passive because they know we've got time on our side, right? We've got these Viper mollies, we've got this Raise Nade, we've got the Brim's actually going to come all the way back here and send a Brim molly in there as well, right? It's all going to go our way. And so really, a lot of this does hinge on Leah, right? And he manages to get the first kill, and that's big. But he manages to live for a long, long time here, which is really, really important because the rest of his team, as you can see, are playing really, really far off, right? They're basically just sacrificing Leah at this point. But because he lived for that long, good trade there as well, you know, it gave them time to, you know, now when this Brim molly is coming in, now when all this util is coming in, right? It just becomes much harder. And so, you know, as we start to get those kills, you know, Shunk tries to get a bit of a defuse on, but then we get the Raise Nade in there as well. You know, and there just isn't any more time. And that's basically how this comp works. And you see it worked there for all Esports. They would go on to win this round and then the next round as well and take us to overtime. And then finally, let's come to round number 26. And what happened here was a very... And then finally, let's come to round number 26, where it all ended here for Sonics, and it was a very, very interesting round. So Sonics are just coming off a timeout here. They send out the dart, they send out a sky flash, right? Nothing's here, and actually Esports are just kind of hiding behind this box. But then they go for this triple push out of hookah. Very, very interesting, very kind of weird, but you know, it seems to kind of work, right? They get into the position that they want to be, right? This is a very odd position, but coming off a timeout, often teams, I think, expect something a bit weird, something a bit like this. And so they're going to turn this corner and they're going to manage to actually win this battle here. Pure's about to go pretty big as he manages to find those 2 kills just there. And we end up in a 3v2. And they decide, you know, after a moment of hesitation that, oh, those 3 must have been the 3 here on B. There's no way they kind of have more people here. So, you know, this site should be free. And so you see the smokes go in. They manage to get the spike down here. And I like the way that they play the 3v2 here as well, right? Again, we're all just going to play together. We're all just going to back off here, you know, use our man advantage. We also have this Brim ult now because, you know, our Brim got those 2 kills and got the spike down. So that's even better as well. But what I really love here, and this is a really good smoke as well, by the way, that we just saw from Esports, right? I think this is something, you know, so we've put the smokes in here early, right? But now we're in the post plant and then we backed up, right? Look at where we put this smoke instead, right? We put the smoke here because we know, you know, well, they're going to probably already be past that one. So putting a smoke like there would do nothing, right? Putting a smoke here wouldn't do too much either. You know, you don't know where they are. So you put one on the middle of the site to kind of think like, ooh, maybe someone is actually in that smoke, right? Maybe they could sneak into this cubby if they were there. It just creates a bit more uncertainty for those players coming out. Really nice little smoke there, and but you're going to see that they just play this pretty well overall. And we'll even take a look at the end as well, at the kind of voice comms of what was happening, because I found that very interesting well. So they tap the spike, they try and swing here, but it's really, really good, again, from Pure, and all Esports would manage to win the game. Now let's go and take a look, and there might be a little headphone warning here for you if you are wearing headphones. It's going to be pretty loud, but yeah, let's take a look at how it happened from their voice comms perspective. Okay, so let's take a listen to this then, and I will try and turn it down before the screaming starts so that we don't have our ears blown out. But let's listen to how this went down.
Yeah. Just hold her here, hold her here. He's gonna walk on us and fight us, I promise.
Okay, so I love that, right? We're in a 3v2, and I just quickly want to point this out. We're in a 3v2, and I love the comms there, right? He's going to walk out and he's going to fight us, because this is a very common thing, right? You want to even the numbers in a 2v3 for your opponents, right? So, you know, they're very aware of that, right? They're playing it well. Just hold. One enemy. Right. Wait! No! Okay, and now the screaming begins, so I'm going to just turn this down a bit so that we don't all die.
Let's go! Fuck yeah! Let's go! Yes! Yes! Let's go!
Yeah, I think they were a bit excited to qualify there. I can't blame them, to be honest. It must have been really, really tense, and you know, I feel bad for Sonics overall because you know what a heartbreaking way to lose. But very good for all esports, and we will see them next week. I think is when it begins for the start of the NA Challengers League.